Did you print your own copy?
It's printing, but I know the beginning, and I've got the segue for the English reading is going to be the last psalm.
Okay.
All right. Rena, are we live? You can hear? Wonderful. Okay. Thumbs are up. Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Delighted to have you all with us. Over the course of the morning, we invite you to follow along in this book, and then eventually in the larger blue one. You can follow in the English. You can try to make sense of the Hebrew. You can sing and clap along. We look forward to your as active participation as feels comfortable. Page 141. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 la. Page 151 and following. It is customary in many communities to stand for these, but also to think not only about what the words say we're grateful for, but where the gratitude is coming from within us. 151 and following. L'shemi chug kuchabrichu ushchinte hineni muchan muzuman lekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your fellow human being as yourself. It all starts there. Uvizchut zeh eftach pi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei olamim hama'avir shena me'enai utnuma me'afapai. And if you agree, you can say amen at the end of each one. And if you're not sure you agree, you can trust. 155. Brucha at ya Eloheinu chei olamim hanoten l'sech v'rina lavchin ben yom uvein laila. That's an amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei olamim roka haaretz al hamayim. Getting better. You can even sing it. Baruch at ya Eloheinu chei olamim hamichina mitzadei gaver. Amen. Baruch at ya Eloheinu chei olamim she'asta li kol tzorki. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei olamim ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch ad ya Eloheinu chei olamim oteret Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch ad ya Eloheinu chei olamim she'astani b'tzalma. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei olamim she'asani ben chorin. Baruch ad ya Eloheinu chei olamim she'astani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chei olamim hanoten leya'ef koach. Page 177. You may be seated. On the bottom of the page is from, I believe, the first published feminist Siddur, something like 1977. just around the time that Sarah's mom was doing groundbreaking work in the field of women's law, we had it in theology. So in honor of Mother's Day weekend, a piece of feminist translation of the Baruch She'amar. Blessed is the one who spoke and the world became. Blessed is the one. Blessed is the one who in the beginning gave birth. Blessed is the one who says and performs. Blessed is the one who declares and fulfills. Blessed is the one whose womb covers the earth. Blessed is the one whose womb protects all creatures. Blessed is the one who nourishes those who are in awe of her. Blessed is the one who lives forever and exists eternally. Blessed is the one who redeems and saves. Blessed is God's name. Amen. Page 199. We're in the section of Psalms. We just pull a couple out each morning as befits the moment, thinking about the influence on a day with 3 simchas at different stages of the life cycle, and the titanic influence that has already accrued in 13 years in midlife, not going to say a number, and in 83 years, the idea of long being the days with which we continue to make a difference, the bottom of 199. Orech yamim masbihehu ve'arehu bishuati. Orech yamim masbihehu ve'arehu bishuati. Orech yamim masbihehu ve'arehu bishuati. Orech yamim asbiehu ve'arehu bishuati. Orech yamim asbiehu ve'arehu bishuati. Orech yamim asbiehu ve'arehu bishuati. Two more Psalms on page 229. Picking up late in Psalm 148, there's a melody almost as old as this psalm that I bet all of you know. It's Michael, Row Your Boat Ashore. So I want to hear harmonies, even if you don't know the song. We're pulling these verses out because on a rainy Shabbat morning, we could say that which is inconvenient and not obviously short-term useful for us is a bummer. And don't we want a bright, sunshiny day for a simcha and a party? On the other hand, when you take the long view, you take the ecological view, you take the justice view, rain is a blessing for us all. Same with the trees, the obviously useful, the less obviously useful. The animals, the wild ones that could hurt you, and the domesticated ones that you're doing your bidding with, they are all part of the chorus of praise. And so is the rain. 229. Hallelu et Adonai min haaretz taninim v'chol tehomot. Hallelujah. Esh uvarad sheleg v'kitor. Hallelujah. Ruach se'ora oseh devaro. Hallelujah. Heharim v'chol gvaot. Hallelujah. Eitz pri v'chol arazim. Hallelujah. החיה וכל בהמה, הללויה. רמס וציפור כנף, הללויה. מלכי ארץ וכל לאומים, הללויה. שרים וכל שופטי ארץ, הללויה. בחורים וגם בתולות, הללויה. זקנים עם נערים, הללויה. יהללו את שם אדוני, הללויה. כי נשגב שמו לבדו, הללויה. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, הללויה. וירם קרן לעמו, הללויה. תהילה לכל חסידיו, הללויה. לבני ארץ עם קרובו, הללויה. And when I said 2 more psalms, wanted to make sure that one this week was written by a mother. So we bring Judith Viorst, contemporary psalmist, into the mix. And 'tis the appointed hour. Do we have the appointed readers? Appointed reader. Mike, Sarah, either, both? Okay. Sorry, it's go time. Judith Viorst, the sweetest of nights and the finest of days, is essentially a blessing for us. Today, it is a blessing for Toby, it is a blessing for Margie and Mark, and it is a blessing for Mim and for all. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay.
Where should I?
Right here. Thank you. Wonderful. Dear friend Sarah Brown, with Mike Weisenstein in absentia, Judith Viorst as a psalm.
I wish you these wishes. Cool drinks in your glasses, warm food in your dishes. A lamp in the window to light your way home in the haze. I wish you the sweetest of nights and the finest of days. I wish you a talent for living, delight in the getting, delight in the giving. A song in your soul and someone to hear it, the wisdom to find the right path when you're lost in a maze. I wish you the sweetest of nights and the finest of days, a snug roof above you, a strong self inside you, and a good heart to guide you, and good friends beside you. I wish you a dream worth the doing, and fortune's face smiling on all you're pursuing, and pleasures that far, far outweigh your small sorrows. Arms wide to embrace your tomorrows, a long sunlit sail on the bluest and smoothest of bays. I wish you the sweetest of nights and the finest of days.
Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.
We'll continue with our prayers, back in the Siddur, page 241. Please join me in the middle of the page. Shochenad marom vekadosh shemo וכתוב, רננו צדיקים באדוני, לישרים נאווה תהילה. בפי שרים תתרומם, ודברי צדיקים תתברך, ובלשון החסידים תתקדש, ובקרב קדושים תתעלה, ובמחלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. שכן חובת כל היצורים לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפעל, לרומם, להדר, לברך, להלל, לקלס, על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי, עבדך משיחך, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו האל, המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שירו שבחה, הלל וזמרה, עוז וממשלה, נצח גדולה, גדולה וגבורה, תהילה ותפארת, קדושה ומלכות, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות אדוני נפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אל חי העולמים. Page 245, the Chatzi Kaddish, to bridge between our preparation and our main service, page 245. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. Invite us all now to rise together, page 247. Just take a moment to take a deep breath all together. Consider ourselves like a great orchestra that has just tuned itself, getting ready to play together. And just invite us all to take a moment and bring to mind one experience, some moment from this past week that sparked our gratitude. Could have been something we noticed starting to blossom in the garden, or perhaps in our family, some piece of news that inspired us. And hold on to that moment of inspiration and pour it into this ancient formula that's before us. Page 247, I'll begin and ask you to respond. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. And we continue from our seats. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorech choshech, oseh shalom, uvoreh et hakol. We'll continue now the hymn to creation, page 253, or the transliterated version on page 255. Either way, an invitation to please join in. El Adon al kol ha'ma'asim, baruch umvorach befi kol neshama, godlo v'tuvo, malei olam, dat u'tvuna, sovevim oto, hamitgael chayot hakodesh v'nedar v'chavod, על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני כיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו, יצרם בדעת, בבינה ובחסקל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נאה זיום בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים בהם הרצון קונם, פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צולה ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח אור, ראה והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו, כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים, וחיות הקודש, אלי, Page 269, אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו במהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות. Turning ahead now to page 273, and Toby, in just a moment, will ask you to come forward. We're coming close now to the recitation of the morning Shema in our prayers. We begin first with those passages about the eternal nature of divine love that's all around us. First, page 273. Ahava rabba havtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gedola vitera, chamalta aleinu. Avinu malkeinu, ba'avur avotenu v'imotenu, shebatchu v'cha, Avinu malkeinu. ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו תלמדנו. אבינו אב הרחמן, המרחם רחם עלינו. אבינו אב הרחמן, המרחם רחם עלינו. ותן בליבנו להבינו, להשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, לקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. Next page. והערנו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך. Ask you, Toby, to come forward now. First, join me on the bottom 3 lines, everyone, page 275, which will lead us into the Shema. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אני מצווך יום לבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלתך בדרך ובשובך ובקומך, ושרתם להות על ידיך, והיו נפות בין עיניך, ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Just take a few moments now to take in the middle part of the Shema quietly together. והיה אם שמוע תשמעו מצוותי אשר. למען יראו ימיכם וימי בניכם על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני, כי מהשמיים על הארץ. So continue with the last paragraph, page 285, reminding ourselves of the commandments of life that are taught through our tradition and the commitment we make in our prayers to continue to strive to reach that life of mitzvah. Page 285. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בציר תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Join me now, please, page 291, the morning song of freedom, which will bring us right into the Amidah, the standing prayer. We'll begin together first on 291, and then rise at the end of the page as we continue with the Amidah. Tilot Leil Elyon, Baruch Hu Mevorach, Moshe uMiriam uBnei Yisrael echanu shira b'simcha rabba, ve'amru chulam, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים לשמך שפתיים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Rising צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתחי נאומך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל. Page 295. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to praise. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Eloi avotenu v'imotenu, Eloi Avraham, Eloi Sarah, Eloi Yitzchak, Eloi Rivka, Eloi Yaakov, Eloi Rachel, Eloi Leah. 297. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. 299. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, רב להושיע, מוריד האטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה כל חי ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות כל חי. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה כל חי. Page 303. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וכרזר זה, ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. משמיעים קול, מתנסים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. 305. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון. בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון, תתגדע ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תיראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. לשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. A time now for our quiet prayers, following the verses here in the Siddur, or just taking our time for meditation, and we'll join together in a prayer for peace as we close. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי, עושה שלום במרומיו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל יושבי תבל, עושה שלום במרומיו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו ואמרו אמן. Turn ahead to page 381 to seal all of our morning prayers with a prayer that they be heard in whatever that place is that our prayers are heard before we transition on to our Torah service. Page 381. יתכהדה ויתכהדה שמי שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותון ובאותהון דכל בית ישראל, קודם אבוהון דבשמיא, ואמרו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן, אמן. With that last amen, we say that our morning prayers are complete for today, for this Shabbat, and make our transition to the Torah service. Rabbi Fred is going to rejoin us shortly, very shortly. He's with our Limud Asefah, the gathering for Shabbat that we have with our young people, our next generation. So we look forward to having him back here with us as soon as he's done with that. And for now, what a delight to invite Matt and Sarah and Toby to the Bima for Toby to receive your parents' blessing and to receive your talit.
All right. Toby, our firstborn, it is such a vivid memory for me. Holding you as a newborn while still in the hospital, amazed that there was this new person who appeared in our lives and with no way to know who you would be. But you quickly revealed yourself. From 2 months, you insisted on being held standing up with your feet on the table or the floor, facing out toward the world. The way I see you in my mind's eye now is with that same huge grin and lit up eyes that you had as an infant. When something struck your fancy, a person or a toy, you can see that on the front of your programs, that big grin. You still light up that way, with a huge grin, your unique chuckle, and loud enthusiasm for your friends, a joke, or something new and exciting that's caught your attention. Except now I have to look up rather than down to see that expression on your face. As you grew older, it became clear that you are also someone who likes to think. You are sometimes startlingly insightful, a creative and thoughtful problem solver, adept at developing your own point of view, and forceful in presenting your opinion. I remember when you were 3, we were driving home at night through Rock Creek Park, and your dad saw something in the headlights and asked, "Is that a fox or a coyote?" You piped up from your car seat, "Coyotes only live in the desert." I stepped in and said, "Well, sometimes, Toby, they live in the desert, but sometimes..." "Mom, is this the desert?" "No, Toby, it's not the desert." "Well, then how can it be a coyote?" Geez, what do you say? What do you say to that? We will all hear you present your insights and point of view later this morning as you interpret your Torah portion. In the last couple of years, you have demonstrated a new willingness to put yourself out there and try new things. Baseball, soccer, trombone, band, and even leading a Torah service. And so it's my hope for you that you continue to face forward and engage with the world with that same infectious joy, deep interest, and bold courage. Your delight in the world around you is not only a blessing to you, but a gift to those of us lucky enough to be your family and friends. We love you. Mazel tov.
Yeah, switch places.
Toby, your Hebrew name is Tuvia, which means God is good in Hebrew. On one side of your family, my father's, you descend from a long line of Tuvias, Tevias, and at least 5 Tillies, including your grandmother, who you're named after. Great-grandmother. Your great-grandmother, who you were named after. The Tuvias in your past came from a very small village on the Russian-Lithuanian border and were known for their good humor and their warm nature. You too are from a village. It is not in Lithuania, nor is it a physical place. Your village is a series of interwoven threads, and it includes your family, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your friends, your neighbors, your teachers, your rabbis, your teammates, your coaches, and your classmates. It includes my brother Andrew and his family in the Netherlands, and my sister Rebecca and her family in New York, who both are unable to be here today, but are watching you on Zoom. They love you, and I know you do as well. They are part of your village. I urge you to enjoy this village, to stroll the streets of this village, and see all that it has to offer. You have 3 traits that your mom and I are proud of, and you must hold on to. You are extremely loyal to your family and to your diverse group of sometimes strange and sometimes loud friends. You use your sense of humor to bring people together, not to pull them apart. And you have a strong and independent mind that understands that the world is not always as it should be. And you have at least one trait, Toby, that you need to get rid of right away. Never eat an entire box of Cheez-Its at one time. And more importantly, never ever wear your yellow sneakers without socks. Ever. If I were to have some wishes for your future, they would be the following. Toby, cultivate a sense of calm and inner peace within you. Don't confuse the outside world with your inner world. Make sure to see the world and travel and live in different places. Try new things and be willing to fail, not just once, but fail multiple times. Failure is where the real learning happens. And wherever you are in the world, remember these small villages that your ancestors came from, the village that raised you and the village that you have to create in the future.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kichani b'mitzvotav v'tzivani lehitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Amen.
Mazal Tov, Sarah and Matt. Toby, we're going to ask you to stay here, and Sarah and Matt to join Eliza. It's time for us now to make our way into the Torah Service. We'll be in the Siddur on page 383, and I want to echo the shout out that Matt and Sarah just gave to their own extended family, especially I think your aunt and uncle Engle, who are both watching, who are both with us remotely. We're glad to be with everyone in the room, and also very glad that we can be connected across the miles for this special time. So turning to the Torah Service, we'll invite forward Annie Greenberger, Phil Silverman, Eden, and Teddy Silverman for the honor of opening the Ark. We'll invite you to just come stand here on either side of the doors, and we'll let you know when it's time to open. And Toby will ask you to turn this way. Yeah, great. Page 383. En kamocha.
En kamoha v'Elohim Adonai, v'en kamaseha.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch, leolam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai varech et amo v'ashal. screen. The doors of the ark are open, page 385.
ויפן סהרון, ויאמר משה,
Take both hands, there you go, that's it. Face the congregation, one right, so close both sides of the screen. Thank you. And please join us here, coming surround Toby. Page 393, Toby first, and we will respond.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Adonai iti, inrom ma shemo yachdav.
Lecha Adonai, please join us. You can sit down here. Mazel tov to the extended family. Ah. Yeah, it's right there. I'd like to share a few words together before we begin our reading today. And as Sarah mentioned before, we're going to have a wonderful commentary, a Devar Torah from Toby at the end of the reading. But to begin us, just a few thoughts. We're in Parashat Emor, as our program says. And our text towards the end of the parasha, where we'll be reading this morning, turns our attention to the organization of time, to the construction of a sacred calendar. And even though we've spoken about the Jewish calendar many times, in fact, I spoke about it just last week, here in our community services and our classes and in our writings, it still surprises me how much something as mechanical, as kind of administrative, can truly be such an important expression of our humanity and of our faith. This part of the Torah presents kind of like a foundational outline of Jewish time. It's not the first time the Torah refers to the question of time. We hear about the establishment of Shabbat in the Genesis epic, in the creation story, and then again of course, in Exodus. When is the beginning of the year? It's the month of the Exodus. But here in Parashat Emor is the clearest outline of the calendar that we still observe today in the Jewish world. This Levitical calendar starts with Shabbat, then continues with the beginning of the year, which is, we all want to say Rosh Hashanah, but as the calendar here explains, it actually begins with Pesach, continuing on with the counting of the Omer, our current season, on to Shavuot, then Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and finally Sukkot. Of course, our modern Jewish calendar includes Chanukah, Purim, Tisha B'Av, more recently Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaAtzmaut, which we just celebrated this past Thursday. But all of those post-biblical holidays came later. The Torah starts with Shabbat, the pilgrimage festivals, and the Yamim Noraim, the days of awe, as we now call them. And let's just find it together in the Chumash. If you turn with me to page 823, if you're in the newer Chumash, in the blue Chumash, not in your Siddur, in our Bibles. We're looking for Leviticus chapter 23, page 823 in the new, or page 916 if you have an older version. The newer one looks like this, and the older one has just a blank blue cover. Leviticus chapter 23 begins, "The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, this is what to tell the children of Israel, Moadei Adonai, asher tikru'u otam, mikrae kodesh, elehem moadai. These are my fixed times, the fixed times of the Eternal, of Adonai, which you have to proclaim as sacred occasions." And then if you're in the newer Plaid, if you turn the page, you'll see the outline of the calendar beginning with Shabbat. Verse 3, Sheshet yamim ta'aseh melacha uviyom hashvi'i shabbaton. 6 days you can keep at it, keep working. And on the 7th day, Shabbat Shabbaton, a day of complete rest. Mikra Kodesh, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. And that's where I wanted to pause for a moment and ask us to notice. We hear this commandment to stop working on sacred days, as the Torah says, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. We hear that phrase over and over in this section of Parashat Emor, as if to emphasize that the most important, most essential way to celebrate Shabbat and the holidays is simply to refrain from work. There is, if we read through the text, we'll see there is instruction about sacrifices for each season, the specific counting of the days from Pesach to Shavuot, which is part of our reading this morning. There are specific instructions about gathering the different species for the lulav and etrog on Sukkot, and even about dwelling in a sukkah during the holiday. But the one commandment that is repeated again and again is to refrain from work. Just stop. Kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu. Any and all kinds of work, all kinds of efforting, you will not do. As Rabbi Fred and many others have taught us, this commandment to rest from work is radical. First and foremost, it's noticeable because why is it here so many times? Because it's not obvious to us. It's not easy to do. It's our natural state to be constantly engaged, to be constantly efforting. And so the Torah has to keep telling us over and over and over again, the way you observe the sacred days is by stopping, by pausing. As I was thinking about this, I had to smile to myself as I'm so, have marinated in this calendar so much myself. I also notice in my yoga practice, and anyone here who practices yoga, I'll bet you'll recognize a similar theme here. I often will say when it comes time for the ending resting Shavasana, which I always think sounds suspiciously like Shabbat. Shavasana, Shabbat. I hear myself say, I'm too busy. I got to get on with my day. I'm not going to stop for this closing rest. And it's always to my detriment when I skip it. In fact, the rules of Hatha Yoga are that whatever else you do, you always end with that pause, with that quiet, with the moment to absorb the work that you've done. When I can discipline myself to lie still for even a few seconds, I'm always struck by the way even there are layers of release that have to go on. That I think I'm in Shavasana, but then I discover there's an even deeper place of rest and quiet, and even below that, a deeper one. I think that's what the Torah is also trying to get at here. Embedded in these calendar instructions is an acknowledgement of our primal nature, which is to work for our own survival. It's understandable. Anthropology teaches us that prehistoric people had no choice but to work every day in order to survive. Even with the natural impulse that we have as human beings to play and to engage in ritual, our human ancestors had a much more basic need to survive, to rise every day, as the Israeli philosopher and teacher Yuval Noah Harari says, and to work to create enough calories to sustain themselves so they could go to sleep exhausted and do the same thing again the next day. From our perspective, they appear trapped, those ancestors, trapped in a mindless cycle of survival with no sense of time, of season, of history. Nowadays, if you want to insult someone for being dim-witted or insensitive, you might call them a Neanderthal. But the truth is, we'd all be just as numbed with exhaustion if we had to continue living that way. The contemporary Israeli scholar Micha Goodman teaches that, quote, Shabbat is about breaking the cycle, about saying that once a week, I am not trapped in the cycle of survival. And maybe when we say that we are breaking the cycle of survival, that is also the declaration of human independence, the declaration of human independence. It is about proclaiming we are not slaves to the natural world, and more importantly, we are not slaves to our own Yetzer Hara, that inner drive to survive, which so often becomes overinflated in us so that we can never be satisfied with what we have. Shabbat, and by extension, the structure of our time across the year into particular seasons and special days, is a check against this mindless slavishness. It is a mindful affirmation of our human agency in choosing who and how we want to be in the world. It seems that the task of our generation is in turn to recommit to a life of harmony with nature, which is also mandated by this commandment to stop, to pause. To be aware of the passage of time and the flow of the seasons is also to be aware of the gifts of life. To carry on the biblical tradition of expressing deep gratitude for the bounty in each season. To celebrate together when the sun shines on us, and to support one another when the storms of life come at us, as they inevitably will. And so I'll just close this by reminding us of the blessing that we will say later this morning, that we say whenever we reach a new season for the first time in the cycle of a year, or when we reach a special moment in the course of our lives. We give thanks for our life. We give thanks for the strength to show up and be present, and for the opportunity to reach a particular time, Zman Hazeh. So just practice with me. Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. So for now, our Zman is simply Shabbat, and we have a wonderful set of honors to celebrate this Shabbat. I believe Rabbi Fred has rejoined us. There he is. I saw it. You come back in. We're always glad to have you back with us.
We've got quite a Torah service for you this morning, filled with simchas. Don't let the candy burn a hole in your hand. You will be throwing it before long.
But gently, please.
Yes. Shall I be
If you don't mind.
Vayazor v'egen v'yashir lechol lechosim bo v'nomar
Amen.
Hakol havu gadol lahinu nuchavod laTorah Ye'amdu Ta'amod Miriam Bat Harav Yisrael veYehudit La'aliyah Rishona Baruch Shanatan Torah L'Amo Yisrael B'Kedushato Ve'atem hadvekim l'Adonai Elohechem Chayim kolchem hayom.
We are reading at Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15.
So on this Mother's Day Shabbat, take a special note of some of the amazing mothers in the names. As we are called up, we bring the past with us, including in Mim's case, when we said Yehudit, that's not just any Yehudit, that is Judith Kaplan Eisenstein, along with remembering Ira, Rav Ira as well, and celebrating with Mim.
Okay.
Okay. We are on page, 928 at the bottom if you're in the old Plout. If the cover just says the Torah, we have two editions, then it's 928. In the new edition, it's at the bottom of 825. 825. This is Leviticus chapter 23, verse 15, starting with Shavuot.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirvanu la'avodato v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. אמן, וספרתם לכם ממחרת השבת, מיום הביאכם את עומר התנופה, שבשבתות ממוציאנה, עד ממחרת השבת השביעית, תספרו 50 יום. והקרבתם מנחה חדשה לאדוני ממושבותיכם, תביאו לחם תנופה, 2 שני עשרונים סולת תהיינה, חמץ תאפנה, ביכורים לאדוני, והקרבתם על הלחם 7 כבשים תמימים בני שנה, ופר בן בקר 1 ואלים 2, יהיו עולה לאדוני ומנחתם ונזקיהם. Let me just hear from one. Go ahead. ומנחתם ונזקיהם ישרח ניחוח לאדוני. ועשיתם סיריזים 1 לחטאת, 2 כבשים בני שנה לזבח השלמים, והניף הכהן אותם על לחם הביקורים, תנופה לפני אדוני, על 2 כבשים, קודש יהיו לאדוני לכהן, וקראתם בעצם היום הזה, מקרא קודש יהיה לכם, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו, חוקת עולם בכל מושבותיכם לדורותיכם.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
We get to celebrate Mim for just a moment. There'll be more celebration later. A pillar of community whose contributions in so many realms have been legion. I'm not even going to start. Good. But it's so apt that you have the Shavuot reading Aliyah, because it talks about bikurim. Bikurim are the things that we bring from the fruits of our work and we offer to the community in the name of holiness with theology throughout, and yet it is a gift enjoyed by other people. These are the fruits that you first harvested from parents and grandparents who were the first fruits for all of us. And you have continued with this bountiful harvest and laying it out in front of community. And we are in your stead, in your debt, all of that and more. And we thank you for those offerings. 83 years of them, and we look forward to many more.
Amen.
Thank you.
Mim, I'm going to come in here. I want to
Oh, you want
offer
to
you
take it?
Mishabera.
Oh, thank you.
May I hold your hand?
Oh, sure.
Okay. What an honor to be here with you. משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את מרים בת הרב ישראל ויהודית שעלתה לכבוד המקום, לכבוד התורה, לכבוד השבת הקדוש ברוך הוא, יחיה וישמריה מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידיה, והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיך, ויברכיה עם כל ישראל אחיך ואחיותיה, ונאמר אמן.
Thank you.
May I give you a hug?
Always.
Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. We are looking forward to a chance to listen and to hear and maybe even to talk with you a little bit after our service this morning. And thank you for being with us all these years and yet more to come.
From simcha to simcha to simcha this morning. Ye'amdu Mordechai ben Aharon v'Tzipora Miriam Chaya Bat Zvi Vetova Aliyah Lifnei HaChatuna Hashniya, which works at many levels.
We are now continuing the next verse, Leviticus chapter 23, verse 22.
Notice the holiday cycle is interrupted by the reminder to take the corners of the fields and reserve them for the poor, because everything comes back to agriculture and everything comes back to justice, both in our holiday cycle and throughout Torah. Verse 22.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kirvanu lavodato benatan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvkutrechem eketzir atzechem lo techale pe'at sadecha uvkutrecha velechet ketzircha lo tilaket le'ani velager ta'azov otam ani Adonai Elohechem. Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor daber el b'nei Yisrael lemor bechodesh hashvi'i Bechad lachodesh yeh lachem Shabbaton zichron shu'ah mikra kodesh kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu v'hikrabtem ishe
Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach. And how apt that this was the Rosh Hashanah Aliyah, a fresh start. No matter how many times we've been through different life stages before, every time Rosh Hashanah comes, and particularly the rare, holy, fresh start that you will be enjoying 2 weekends from now, it is an opportunity to be even holier, even more relational, and even more embedded in each other's lives and each other's families and communities. It is a gift. And you're giving the gift to us. We also give it to you, of blending communities, families, lives, and visions. Mazel tov.
It's a real honor to offer you a Misha Berach on this wonderful day in advance of your chuppah coming up in just a few weeks. I like to hold hands. Okay? Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech et Mordechai ben Aaron v'Tzipora v'et Miriam Chaya bat v'Tzvi v'Tova asher bekarov yavo bivrit hanesuim yatmid Elohim ahavat gelulotehem יברכם ויפרם ונחת ירבם ויהי ביתם אשר יבנו בישראל. May the house you now build in the house of Israel, Mishkan Ahava ve'emunah, be a sanctuary of love and faithfulness, Neve Shalom u'Kedusha, a holy place of peace and sanctity. Bait asher bo yigdalu banim uvanot, may the family you build together be strengthened by your love and by your faith. Uvaosher be'ahavat Torah v'masim tovim, v'nomar amen. Again, Simen Tov Mazel. I think this might just be the beginning, too.
May sweetness always be headed your way.
And now we return to the reading, Shlishi, which is the next verse, verse 26.
This is the Yom Kippur reading in the cycle, and we are on page, where we left off, 929 at the bottom in the old, or 826 at the bottom in the new. And we are thrilled to go from Simcha to Simcha, inviting Toby's grandparents. Ye'amdu David ben Menashe v'Leah bat Henry v'Masha bat Yosef v'Yisrael Meir ben David la'aliyah shlishit. All right. Okay. So we're going to take this as a talit, and right here is our starting point. So if one of you would dip there and symbolically kiss right there. Okay? And kind of blow We'll use the traditional blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher b'dvar b'nei ha'amim. V'nitan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Switch back one step. Thank you. Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Ach, mark for yourselves. Ba'asor lachodesh hashvi'i hazeh. On the 10th of the month, that is the 7th month, Yom HaKippurim hu. The day of atonement it shall be, Mikra Kodesh yeh lachem, a sacred assembly it shall be for y'all. V'initem et nafshotechem, and you shall afflict or deny or get out of your comfort zone with your souls. V'hikravtem ishel Adonai, v'chol malacha lo ta'asu, be'etzem hayom hazeh, ki yom HaKippurim hu. L'chaper alechem lifnei Adonai Elohechem. Ki chol hanefesh asher lo te'uneh be'etzem hayom hazeh v'nichreta me'ameha v'chol hanefesh asher ta'aseh kol malacha be'etzem hayom hazeh v'ha'avadeti et hanefesh hahu mikerev amaha. Kol malacha lo ta'asu chukat olam ledorotechem bechol moshvotechem. Or is that it? Bechol moshvotechem. Shabbat, Shabbaton hu lachem. A Sabbath of Sabbaths it shall be for you. V'initem et nafshotechem. And you shall deny or afflict or get out of your comfort zone with your souls. B'tisha lachodesh ba'erev me'erev ad erev tishbetu shabbatchem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam notah b'tzedakenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Mazal tov to all four of you. What a blessing to have four grandparents here present and wish you so many good things from this beautiful family. We'll ask you to stay here on the bima with us, and Pam, let's break here for Mishpah. We'll pause here in our reading before we go on for a prayer for healing. And just invite us to take a moment of awareness and bring to mind anyone, into the mic, sorry. Anyone in our circle of loved ones who is on their own journey of healing, wherever that may lead. And by saying this blessing of healing, affirming in ourselves our commitment to be present with them as they journey forth. We'll ask Pam Summers to lead us.
Misheperach avotenu mekor chabracha lehimotenu. May the source of strength who bless bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekol chavracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Refuah shlema.
Blessings for complete healing. Do you want to call?
We'll continue with the next aliyah, which is to call forward Sarah and Matt. Ya'amdu Sarah bat Yisrael v'Masha u'Menashe ben David v'Leah la'aliyah haravi'it.
And we continue now on verse 33.
Yes. Page 930 in the old, or 827 in the new. And this is bringing the cycle to a close, Sukkot. Pay no attention to the old child who is reading Torah this time. He becomes a young man at the next aliyah.
Point for your parents.
Okay, should be at the very top, right? No? Lemor b'chamisha asar yom?
I think that is it.
Yeah.
So Sarah, Matt's telling you, and touch your baby, show me.
That's right.
And lay the other down.
Sure.
Just hold on to the names. Yeah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher karvanu la'avodato, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל לאמור, ב15 יום לחודש השביעי הזה, חג הסוכות, 7 ימים לאדוני, ביום הראשון מכלה קודש, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו, 7 ימים תקריבו אישה לאדוני, ביום השמיני מכלה קודש, כל מלאכת יהיה להם והקרבתם אישה לאדוני הזה, היא מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו.
Matt and Sarah each hand. And then Toby, you can hold on to the yod and just take it with you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Before we say goodbye to these grandparents, I just invite us to take an image of 3 generations, all here together in front of the Torah. And Mazal Tov again to all of you. We'll ask you, Sarah and Matt, to just come on this side, Toby, and invite you, Pam, to call your student to the Torah.
Yamot, Yamot, Habachor bar HaMitzvah, Tuvia Yosef, Ben Menashe v'Sara, Maftir Chazak.
Yeah.
The maftir for Parshat Emor is one chapter ahead. We are in Leviticus 24, verse 17. This is on page 938 in the old edition, or 846 in the new. Again, Leviticus chapter 24, verse 17.
Okay, there. Okay, so first, Toby, take your right corner of your talit. Take your talit in your right hand. Touch. That's it. Close the scroll. We'll find it again, don't worry. Hold on with two hands.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirvanu la'avodato ve'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Umake vehema yishalmena, umake adam yumat, mishpat ehad yihye lahem, kager kahizra yihye, ki ani Adonai Elohehem, v'yitaber Moshe el b'nei Yisrael, vayotziu etam kalel, El mihut lamahane, ayirgemu oto aven uvnei Yisrael asu kasher siva Adonai et Moshe.
Kol hakavod. Take your talit. Close the scroll. Toby, wait. Put your hands here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayolam nata betuheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Kol hakavod, sir. We'll turn now to invite our Hagba and Golelet, Noam Unger and Caroline Wadhams to the bima. Ya'amod ha'magbia ta'amod ha'golelet. Please rise as we lift and dress the Torah. Toby, let them get in here. You guys be careful, there's a ton of candy everywhere. No, not yet. First he's going to lift it up. Down first. Vezot HaTorah
asher tzam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai be'ad Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Miriam. Morasha kehilat Yaakov. Morasha kehilat Rachel, Morasha kehilat Leah, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. We may be seated. Little Mother's Day change up there. Excellent. All right. To make sense of the line in his beautiful last Torah reading, that there shall be one law for the citizen and the immigrant, the stranger, the other. And to bring this Torah into our time, we are thrilled to invite Toby among the teachers in this community.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion is a more. It is about laws, punishment, and equality. This section discusses laws and accountability in these words. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The injury inflicted on a human being shall be inflicted in return. If I took this literally, I would punch someone in the face if they punched me. That is not my interpretation of this passage. These words are trying to make a point about laws, accountability, and justice. Again, you shouldn't punch anyone in the face. The system of law and punishment in the Torah were one of the first systems of law ever. It was the basis for systems of law in the future. Without law, there would be no system to maintain order and no sense of safety. Without punishment, there would be no way to enforce laws. It is human instinct to look out for yourself and not necessarily look after others. Laws will not change that instinct, but they can encourage people to act reasonably. For example, the January 6th attack on the Capitol showed a lack of restraint on the people, who were giving into their worst instincts. There was not a recognition of law and punishment to moderate those instincts. But laws are not only made to keep people in check. Laws should also be used as a restraint of power on the government. Without independent laws, the government could do whatever it wanted, like a king who was free to make whatever laws and punishments he wanted based on a personal feeling. As we sit here today, this is going on with Putin in Russia. Russia has a lot of laws, but the laws are all used to support the power of the government, not to create a fair and equal system for the people. There should be a middle ground, where the people are not terrified of the government, but the government has the ability to act within the structure of fair and equal laws. Speaking of equality, my Torah portion says that you shall have one standard for strangers and citizens alike. The concept of equal justice is important because the public will not accept different punishments for different people who committed the same crime. Equal justice means creating laws and punishments that make sure the powerful and the weak are treated the same. In the Torah, there are a lot of references to strangers. For example, in Egypt, Jews were strangers under the Pharaoh's rule. Today, strangers can include new immigrants and other people you are not familiar with. I've been studying World War II, and Jews were not only viewed as strangers, they were murdered for being strangers. A couple of summers ago, I went with my family to Whitefish, Montana. After the trip, I learned there were Nazi rallies and anti-Semitism in the town. You can be a stranger right here and right now in 2022. We do have laws, punishment, and equal justice today, but just because they exist in writing doesn't mean they are followed in practice. The concept of universal obligation applies here. Universal obligation is a concept of being aware of the large circle of people your actions affect. There's a quote by Pastor Martin Niemöller that speaks to this. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out, because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out, because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there is nobody left to speak for me. No matter what the laws say or what the government does, there will always be people who make bad choices. The only thing that you can directly control are your own choices, and stand up for people when you see them being treated unfairly. And if you make the right choice, it may inspire others to do the same. There will also always be injustice in the world, but the choices you make can help others. Expanding your circle of obligation can start with small steps close to home. For my Tikkun Olam project, I am working with leveling the playing field to provide sports equipment for kids who don't afford it or don't have access to it. So far, I have collected over 50 different donations from different people in Silver Spring. I've never met many of the neighbors who help me with the donations, just like the kids who get the donations may be strangers to me, but you can expand your universe of obligation to include them. Thank you for listening. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher koach.
Wow. All right. Take a breath. Yeah. And prepare to be blessed, which starts with just a mirror of acknowledging the blessings that you've been given and the blessings that you have caught and taken and run with and now embody and give to others. This teaching to keep enlarging our circles of compassion and concern, so needed. Equal justice for all, so needed, so timely. I bless you to take in the blessings that come from your family, as well as your community, from the rootedness in earth and in the interconnection of all, and the need to do what we can to save it, which will be a defining challenge of your generation, to the beautiful blessing that your dad gave to balance the sense of calm and inner peace with the willingness to try and go out there and experience and even fail and then do better. And the teaching that you embody You shared at the beginning of this journey with me, and I took notes here, right, that this whole thing means for you a bunch of milestone-y sort of new phases for you. Earning respect in the Jewish community by being at services, etc. We'll hold you to it. A time of maturing, of taking school more seriously. We'll hold you to that too. And becoming a Jewish adult, this is you, I'm quoting back at you, right, means learning to respect yourself more and taking on more responsibility. So take a breath and look around and see all these people who respect you and to whom you are responsible, but have already been delivering with this beautiful presence and this beautiful Torah. We're excited to see where the journey takes you. Mazel tov. Yeah. More blessings.
Before we say goodbye to you for this morning, I wanted to ask the congregation to join me. So I'm just going to sneak in here so that people can hear me remotely through the microphone. No, don't go. Ask us all to join in the 3-line blessing that we offer to all of our young adults, which really is about welcoming in the possibility of peace and turning to receive peace whenever possible. So ask for us to please respond to each of these lines. Ken yehi ratzon. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ken yehi ratzon. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Ken yehi ratzon. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon. And now let's say together the blessing that we reserve to mark a special moment, to invite us to pause. If we could press the pause button on time just for a second and catch you right here in this moment. Join me, please. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. We have snacks for anyone who's hungry. And,
All right. Yasher Koach and Mazel Tov, grab some candy. You can have a seat, and we'll be with you in a moment.
yeah, I want to add this in. With all this joy surrounding us, before we return the Sefer Torah to the Aron, we have an opportunity to say blessings for our country and blessings for the state of Israel. And those blessings are always needed, always appropriate, but perhaps especially this week when we've seen one of the structures of our judicial system reveal quite an alarming vulnerability. We send our strength to our leaders and to encourage the affirmation of standing law. Please join me, page 418 in our Siddur. It's a custom to rise for these blessings. And let's say together, page 418, Sovereign of the universe, mercifully receive our prayer for our land and its government. Let your blessing pour out on this land and on all officials of this country who are occupied in good faith with the public needs. Instruct them from your Torah's laws. Enable them to understand your principles of justice so that peace and tranquility, happiness and freedom might never turn away from our land. Please, wise one, God of the life breath of all flesh, waken your spirit within all inhabitants of our land and plant among the peoples of different nationalities and faiths who dwell here love and brotherhood, peace and friendship. Uproot from their hearts all hatred and enmity, all jealousy and vying for supremacy. Fulfill the yearning of all the people of our country to speak proudly in its honor. Fulfill their desire to see it become a light to all nations. Therefore, may it be your will that our land should be a blessing to all inhabitants of the globe, cause to dwell among all peoples, friendship and freedom, and soon fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. Let them learn no longer ways of war. And we say, Amen. And if we just simply turn the page, let's say together the last lines of the prayer for the state of Israel, a reminder to us to keep our connection with this most beloved place on the planet and to hold it in prayers for safety and security and peace. The last 4 lines, starting at the last word of the 4th line from the bottom. Ha'atzel meruchecha al kol yoshvei eretz kodshenu. Haser mikirbam sin'a ve'eva kin'a ve'rishut. V'ta belibam ahava ve'achva shalom ve'reut. V'kayem bimhera chazon neviecha. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev. V'lo yilmedu od milchama. V'nomar amen.
And we now invite Annie, Phil, Eden, and Teddy to join us as we return the Torah to the Ark.
And Toby will ask you to come back for this return. Yehalevu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav Shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo.
It's time. Oh, right. Livnei Israel, Am Kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Zev and Isaac, please join us as well. Page 441. Uvnucho yomar shuv Adonai rivavot alfei Yisrael, ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al azovu. 3rd line on page 441.
Ma'azikim b'mechomeha me'ushar etz hayim hira ma'azikim b'mechomeha me'ushar. Shalom, 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 shalom. It is the tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom.
Oh, yeah. We may be seated for a moment. Thank you, gents. All right.
Can I just make a public service announcement? See these soft jellies? See how they're very soft? These are the candies to send to the Bima.
Right. The aerodynamics aren't so great, but there's no pain involved. Picking up on the prayer for our country and this particular moment, a reminder for many of us that the Jewish community as a whole is mobilizing somewhere near the Supreme Court Tuesday morning, a week and a half from now. It is the Jewish Rally for Abortion Justice, and all are invited, 9 a.m. National Council of Jewish Women is sponsoring, along with the Reconstructionist Movement and countless other organizations, and we stand in solidarity with mothers to be mothers on their own timetable. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Choice of Mothering Day. We turn our attention to the mothers and fathers before us, those we remember who are no longer with us on this plane of existence. And in a moment, we'll share the yahrzeits, the anniversaries, but first we continue to remember with Tanya Alteras, her father Isaac Zev, and with Luther Jett, his dear sister Sally Jett Logan. And as well, the anniversary of whose passing falls from today through the end of this week. Art Greenblatt's mother, Annie, Jody Lipson's mother, Renee, Lauren Amdursky's grandfather, Joseph Tech, Bobby Jacobson's father, Julian Steinfeld, Todd Levitt's mother, Marilyn, Patty Iglarsh's father, Leon Miller, Carol Light's father, Irving Marks, Vanessa Eisman's grandparents, Beatrice and Jerome Eisman, Abe Finkelstein's late wife, Janice Bloom Finkelstein, Harold Jaffe's brother, Milton, Julia Tossel's aunt, Ray Pearlstein, Alyssa Stern's grandmother, Julia Yankowitz, David Kupfer's father, Henry Gershon Kupfer, Marla Zippin's grandmother, Ida Orkin, Abby Alpern's mother, and Dwight Alpern's mother, Harriet Alpern, Neil Maxstein's father, Floyd, Ross Dembling's father, Paul, Anne Laurie Wong's mother, Beverly Warren, Joan Kahn's late mother-in-law, Florence Blackman. And there are two in here that have our member, Marty Tolchin, remembering others in turn. And of course, we just lost Marty earlier this year. His father-in-law, Jacob Goldsmith, and this coming week is also the yahrzeit of his late wife and our beloved Titan, Sue Tolchin. We remember them both. All those who are in mourning or commemorating a yahrzeit, feel free to rise, as may be your custom, page 451, Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me Rabbah, ba'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam l'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו. Amen. Zichronam livracha, all of their memories, for a blessing. And on page 445, we all rise in honor and celebration of everyone and everything, and our duty to keep trying to perfect it. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula le'yotzer breshit, shenatan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata betochenu, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shenu teshamayim v'yoser haaretz Moshe v'yikra b'shmein yoshkan v'mizden v'enun v'malkeinu v'zavah v'techa ein on al ken nekabel echad anel b'tifur zechad v'tekayel la b'malchut shaddai v'chol v'nei b'sari kol yishon v'leif v'nelach v'kol yishon v'nei 449 near the bottom. Ki amalchut shachli meyad timlach b'chavod kakatuv b'toratecha Adonai himloch leolam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'mruach al kol ha'aretz bayom ahu Yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Will we be seated? Think back for a moment on all of the incredible simchas celebrated this morning, including for our board member for another week, Mim, with Torah coming from her, and again for Margie and Mark, and for Toby and family. What a beautiful morning. I believe Fran is our board person? Huh? I believe Shelley is our board person. 2 ago, past president, Shelley Sadowski, to give messages of greeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and Toby, we're going to need you for this too.
Yeah. So, Toby, I am so honored. You will be my very last presentation of a name tag for you becoming an adult, as I will be stepping off the board. So I'm thrilled to do this for you, and welcome as an adult to our community. And mazel tov to you. And this is from
A gift.
from the
community.
Okay, I'm sorry. For you as well. And mazel tov to you and to your family, your parents, your grandparents. It's so lovely that the whole family is here, friends, relatives. And welcome to all of our guests and all of our community here today. If you'd like, you can have a seat. And again, where's Mim? Mazel tov to Mim on her 83rd year. Yay. And to Mark and Margie, mazel tov to you on your upcoming wedding. And so it's just been such a lovely morning to be here, even though it's been kind of nasty on the outside. It's just terrific to have so many happy things to celebrate today on the inside and with you on Zoom who are joining us. The one big announcement that I have is that for those who have not yet signed up for our homecoming, our retreat here, February, May 27th through 29th, please do sign up. It's going to be a wonderful weekend Friday night through Sunday at noon, and meals and programs and dancing and fun. And so please sign up if you haven't yet. And for information about it, check out Social Solidarity, that comes out this coming week, with all other announcements of upcoming events, by all means. And if there are any guests here who would like more information about Adat Shalom, where is Cheryl? Cheryl, are you here? Cheryl Silver?
Any of us.
Oh, okay, or anybody here. We're happy to provide information to you, and you can also check out information on our website. And again, welcome everyone, and Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
Kids, come up and get the.
Yes, everyone who's at least a year away from their bar bat mitzvah, you get first dibs, right? So the 11 and under crowd for starters. With huge appreciation to Shelley and to Mim and to others who are rotating off the board in 1 week. They will only rotate off the board if you vote for the new slate. So for members, as emails come in, and we hope to see many of you 8 nights from now at the annual meeting, which is another highlight when we get to honor a lot of beautiful people, including board members and including the tireless volunteers, because it takes a lot to build and maintain community, and we've seen some amazing examples of it recently. So we hope to see many of you there as well. All right. Anything else? All right. So next up in this family, Eliza. To join us with Toby on page 465 in the home stretch. Remember, folks who are staying to hear some of the incredible stories and perspective and wisdom that Mim brings on the occasion of her second bat mitzvah, that we will reconvene here quite soon. Listen for the announcement in the lobby. Don't go too far. And you in cyberspace, greet each other in the meantime, grab a bite, and be back for Mim as well. 465, we rise in body or spirit.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. על כן ברא אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו להברא
לחיים.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Do I drink that now? Okay, it's grape juice.
Good.
Eliza.
All right.
No, it's
All right.
It's okay.
if there are any other young kids in the community who want to join us for Motzi, feel free.
Wait, what?
Got anyone? All right.
Go ahead, Alexa.
Touch Shabbat was on Zoom
Nice,
today.
strong voice,
Here we go.
okay. Baruch atah.
Loud, 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 loud.
Can you do it louder?
Yeah.
Baruch. You got it.
Can you do it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Baruch atah
You're supposed to do it
Adonai,
too.
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Hamotzi
lechem min haaretz,
B'tei Avon.
Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos! Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov! All right. Enjoy the gathering. We'll see many of you back here in a moment. Go, Toby. Okay.
Toby, your insights were great.
Hard to change a bit.
I bet your dad being on there. I bet your mom. So
And you totally get the assist for today with that keep us.
Kate knocked it off. Liza. Thanks. But Ella. By the way, that's Edith, that's Teddy, and that's Ella. But come here. Ella. Come here. Go back to that. Do I send you that?